Hello everyone, and welcome to this workshop where we're going to learn everything you need to know to get started in Premiere Pro. Now, my name is Lila. I am also known as Lila from YouTube on social media because I have my own YouTube channel where I upload Premiere Pro tutorials, as well as some other video making tutorials and videos. But today, I am especially excited because today, I'm not just your teacher or your host. I feel like we're kind of like buddies, we're kind of teammates when it comes to this stuff, because I still remember when I started Premiere Pro for the first time, I had no idea where to start. So I'm very excited to be that person for you and to just help you and give you the tools that you need to start your creative journey in Premiere Pro. Now, before we actually get started and before I tell you what you can expect from this workshop, if you can share with me where you're at, what time it is right now, I would love to know. I'm in the Netherlands and it's 6 p.m. right now, so it's dinner time. And as I'm waiting for you to, or for the chat to catch up, because the chat is a little bit delayed, let me just share with you what you can expect from this workshop. So, what we will be doing is, first of all, we will learn how to open a new project, how to import your files, how to create a timeline and edit on that timeline. We will learn how to add music, how to, what else? How to color correct, how to speed ramp, how to do slow. We're going to learn so much. We have about 75 minutes together, so I am beyond excited about this. Now let me see. Oh my gosh, we have so many people here. I'm so excited about this. We have Toronto, California, Austin, Texas, Georgia. Hello, everyone. I wish I could say hi to everyone, but we have 75 minutes and we have a lot to cover. So let's just get started and let's hope that everything goes well because it's the first time that I am doing this kind of setup. So let's get started. All right, so you should be able to see my Premiere Pro right now, and this is basically the start screen. So here you'll find all of your recent projects, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to start a new project by clicking on this button right here that says New Project. By the way, one more thing that I want to say, if you have any questions at any point, you can ask them in the chat. I am going to look at the chat every now and then, but also the Adobe team will take care of you. They're ready to answer all of your questions. All right, so when we click on New Project, this is the window that we will get. And as you can see, we're going to do just 3 things because there's a lot that we can do, but it's not really important, especially when you're starting out, just stick to these 3 things. So the first thing that we need to do is we actually need to create a name. So what should we call this? I don't know. This video isn't about cats. Let's go. All right, okay. Also looks like I haven't seen anything about my audio or whatever, so I think everything is fine. That's good. Then the second thing that we're going to do is we're going to choose our location. So you can click on Browse right here, and then I'm just going to click on YouTube Demo. Now, as you can see, I already have some sort of a folder structure, which I highly recommend you to do as well. But what I would recommend you to do when you create a new project is to actually also create a folder for your project. And the reason behind this is because when you create a new project, you do not just get a project file, but you also get a folder for video previews and a folder for auto saves, which you need to enable because it's going to save you sometimes, trust me. So therefore, I like to create a folder that is called projects because then everything is in one folder instead of everything being right here on the screen. So let's create a new folder really quickly. And double click, select folder. Everything is still good. Okay, that's awesome. Then the last thing that I want you to do is to check the renderer. Now, as you can see, it says Mercury Playback Engine, GPU Acceleration, OpenCL. Oh my gosh, what does this mean? What do I need to do? Well, when it comes to this, all you need to do is to make sure that you have a GPU acceleration selected. So it could be OpenCL if you're on Windows. I think on Mac it's CUDA, C-U-D-A. I'm not entirely sure, but if you have a GPU acceleration right here, choose it, because if you choose software only, Premiere Pro is just going to be a little bit slower and that's going to be a little less pleasant. And what we like to do is we like Premiere to run as smoothly as possible, right? So make sure that you have a GPU acceleration selected and then hit OK. And now, ladies and gentlemen, We're in Premiere Pro. Welcome. Now, when you first look at Premiere Pro, oh my gosh, what do we do and where do we click on? How do we get started? Well, first, let's just explore the workspace a little bit. So up here, we have different tabs. We have different workspaces. We have the editing workspace, colors, effects, audio, graphics, captions, libraries. We have a lot going on there, but we're going to stick in the editing workspace for now. Now up here we have a few windows, and these windows will make more sense as soon as we started importing our footage, but for now let me just explain these windows. So right here, right now it says Effect Controls, but let's click on Source right here. So down here we have the project bin or the project folder. So every asset that you import to Premiere Pro, whether it's a video or music or an animation or literally anything, you will find that right here in the project bin. Now up here we have the source monitor, and this is just basically the preview of every file that we have in the project bin. So when we double click on a file, we can preview it right here. So these are our sources, and this is the source monitor. Now, if we move over to this side, we have our timeline. And as you can see in Premiere Pro, that's called a sequence. Now, right now, we do not have a timeline yet. We still have to create that, but this is where we will be editing our video. And then right here, we have our project monitor, and our project monitor is where we can view our video. So everything that we edit, we can view up here. It's pretty straightforward, and it will make a lot more sense as soon as we started editing. Now, one last thing is right here, we have a toolbar, and as you can see, we have a selection tool. We have a bunch of different tools. We do not need to use all of them. Actually, for this workshop, we're just going to use two tools. We're going to be using the selection tool, and we're going to be using the razor tool, which is the cut tool. Now, as you can see, if you at any point want to know what one of these tools is, you can just hover over it and it will show you what it is. So this is the hand tool, and it will also, this is very useful, it will also show you the shortcut of each tool. So let's say the razor tool, the cut tool is C. And I really encourage you to do this, maybe not the first time, like I don't want to overwhelm you. Maybe the first time, just use the buttons if that is more, if you feel more comfortable with that. But I do recommend you, and I really encourage you to learn shortcuts over the long run, because it's going to make editing so much faster and so much more pleasant. All right, by the way, when it comes to this workspace, this is actually a workspace preset, basically. The Premiere Pro designers or engineers, they thought that this is the right editing workspace for us, the most efficient workspace. But maybe your brain doesn't work this way. Maybe you're like, you know what, I actually want my project folder to be right here on the side, and I want it to be smaller, so you can just drag this and shape your workspace any way you like. Now, you can go as wild with this as you want, but maybe you're like, oh, I kind of want to go back to the original editing workspace. And then we just click on Window right here, Workspaces, and we can click on Reset to Saved Layout. Now, if you do really like your workspace or what you created, you can go to Window, Workspaces, Save as New Workspace, type in a name, and then you'll find it right here. Now let me check the chat really quickly. I unfortunately do not have the ability to zoom in. I tried, let me just go full screen again. I tried to find out how to do that. I wasn't able to, but maybe for the next live stream next week, I figured it out or switched live stream services, so we can do that next time, but I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. All right, let's go back to the window. Oh, that's interesting. So my internet connection, it should be good. Let me move back to, you should be seeing me full screen now, so I can check. It actually says excellent connection, so I'm not really sure what to do about that. But yeah, let's fix that for next time. But for now, let's just go into Premiere Pro and start importing our files. So right here, like I said, this is the project folder, and this is where we will be importing our footage. Now what you can do is you can double click on it, and then let's go to A-roll, for example. We can double click on our clip. All right, then we can double click on it again. We can go to B-roll. We can select all of them by drawing a box, click on open, and then all of that will be imported. But as you can see, it's gonna get messy really quickly. So what I would recommend you to do, let me just delete this by drawing a box again and then pressing delete on my keyboard. What we're actually going to do is you could create a folder, which is called a bin. That's not a trash bin, it's actually a folder inside Premiere Pro. So you can create a folder by clicking on this icon right here, and then you could say, this is my A roll. But even better, because we have been organized, because like I said, let me just open that up really quickly. Because I already have a folder system, I don't even need to create folders and then import all of the files. I can just go to my Windows Explorer, and if you're on a Mac, it is a Finder, and you can just drag and drop this to your time or to Premiere Pro, and everything will now be in Premiere Pro. All of the files are already ready to go. This is such a great way of importing your footage, so I really recommend you to go this way and to stay as organized as possible. Now, there's a few ways to look at this. Right now, as you can see, it says 2, 3, 1. If we want this to be 1, 2, and 3, we can go right here to sort icons, and we could sort it by name. Now, this is called the icon view or the thumbnail view. And if we go in, let's say this folder right here, you can see thumbnails for every clip. And if you want to preview the clips, you can just go through it like this. You can just hover over it and you can see the clip. Now, what you could also do is there's also a list view. I personally, when it comes to editing, I don't really recommend using the list view unless you use very specific names for each clip so you know what every clip is. But the list view is very useful when you want to know the metadata. And metadata is the information of a video clip. So for example, 25 frames per second. We have the video duration. There's just a few here. We have the size of the video, for example. There's plenty of things that you can display here and check here if you want. Now there's also another view, which is the freeform view. And when it comes to the freeform view, this is basically like, I would say, a storyboard. And if you don't know what a storyboard is, you could just look at this like a big whiteboard or memo board where you could just figure out your story or group clips together as you see fit or what works for you. So there's not really any rules for this stuff. So let me just quickly open this up by pressing the, I don't know what it's called, the wave key. And here we can see all of our clips, right? So what we can do, for example, this is not really the best example, but let's just say this is the first clip that we want to use. Then we want to use this clip, for example. Maybe we should move on. We should go for this clip then. You see the point. This is what you can do with a freeform view. But I personally really enjoy using the icon view, so that is what we will be working with now. So let me just make it smaller again by pressing the little wave key again. And now I think it's time to start and create a timeline. And like I said in the beginning, a timeline is called a sequence in Premiere Pro. So the best way to go about this is to click right here on new item and then sequence, or right-clicking and then new item and sequence. Let me check the chat really quickly. Yeah, the tiled key, is that how you pronounce it? I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but yeah, the tiled key, that's it. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, when you create a new sequence, this is the window that will pop up. Now, as you can see, there's tons of sequence presets, and I really recommend you to take advantage of this because you basically don't need anything else. So for this video, let's just select 4K, 16:9, 25 frames per second, because I'm in Europe, so I shoot everything in 25 frames per second. If you're in North America, for example, you probably shoot in 24 or 23.976 frames per second. Now, if you want to change something, you can go to settings right here, and here you can change the frames per second. So we just selected 25, but maybe, oh no, we do want 24. We can just click here and we can change it. Now, when it comes to the frame size, you could change this here as well. So let's say we want a square video. Then what we would do is we would type in the same number as here. And as you can see, the aspect ratio has now changed to 1:1, which is a square. But for now, I'm just going to undo that. And I am also going to undo this because we want 25 frames per second. But you get the point. Now, all of the other things that are in this window, don't even look at that. I honestly still really don't look at that because this is usually just sufficient. I always use a sequence preset. Now, if you want to save your sequence preset, you can just click right here and you can save it. And once you've saved it, you will actually see it and find it right here in a custom folder. All right, so let's say we can come up with a name for our sequence name if we want to. Let's say, I should actually say not about cats. Not about cats. Okay. And now we've created our timeline. Now, maybe you're shooting your videos on a phone. Maybe you don't even know the frame rate or the aspect ratio, or if you shot it in HD or in 4K, that is not a problem at all, because what you can do is you can go to your clip. So this is our main clip. And you can actually right click on it and then click on New Sequence from Clip. So when we do that, it will open up right here. So now we have a sequence that matches exactly the same settings of our clip. So this is super useful if you're just starting out. But of course, you know, I do want to explain to you how certain settings work and stuff. So for now, let's just stick to our not about cats sequence. Let me see, is there anything else? Tilde. Tilde. I'm the absolute worst when it comes to this stuff. Tilde. Okay, cool. Whatever it is, I'm gonna call it the wave key because that's just, otherwise it's just gonna be way too awkward. Although we're probably already past that point. But yeah. All right. So we have our sequence right here. So now it is time to add our files to our sequence. Now, one way of doing this is obviously first we want to preview our clip. Now I can double click on this and it will open up in the source monitor. So now I think my explanation from earlier is starting to make a little bit more sense, right? So now we can just go through the video and we can make our selection. However, when it comes to talking videos, I don't like to make a selection in the source monitor. What I actually like to do is to make a selection and actually edit it on the timeline itself. So we can just, if you want to, you can drag and drop it to the timeline. What you could also do is you could hit comma, and now it will be on the timeline. Now, as you can see, what just happened is that the audio is on audio 2 instead of audio 1. And that is because I have audio 2 selected. So if I click on this, now we're good to go. So like I already kind of said, this is the audio side of the timeline and this is the video side. So everything visually that you want to add to your video, you would add it up here. And everything like audio, like dialogue, or if you have a voiceover or sound effects or music or ambient sounds, literally anything that you would do right here. Now, when it comes to editing my talking head, this is, by the way, how you can zoom in and out on your timeline. And if you want to learn a shortcut for that, it is the plus sign to zoom in and the minus sign to zoom out. Now, when it comes to editing my talking head, I like to talk a lot. I don't know if you've noticed, but I like to talk a lot. So when it comes to these kind of clips, especially, I know that I just have one point to make here. I know that all of this is just wrong. The takes are wrong. I either make a mistake or I'm just rambling too much, and nobody on YouTube likes a rambler. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to cut all of this out because I know that that is rubbish, and I know that my last takes are actually the right takes. So I'm gonna cut it right here because, let me just make the track bigger. You can just drag it like so. If you want, you can also double click to reset it and double click to make it bigger, but I like to make it even bigger, so I'm just going to make it bigger like so. And I'm also going to zoom in and check the chat really quickly. I do have windows, but what's your question? I think you need to, I don't know, Marshall, have you been here from the beginning? Because I think I showed you the answer of your question already. All right, let's continue. So, I know that I want to cut all of this out, right? And I know that this is just nothing. Like this is just silence. This is me probably making a sound, and this is where I start talking. So in order to cut this, I'm going to hit C on my keyboard, which is the razor tool, which we just saw right here. Let me just make this a little bit smaller. So right here, the razor tool, right? And I'm going to click on it, and now I have created a cut. So now to get your cursor back, what we're going to do is we are going to hit V on our keyboard, and now I can delete this. Now, one way of deleting it is zooming out and then, making sure that this is selected and then hitting delete on your keyboard. And then we would have to drag this. Oh, oops. Then we would have, whenever you want to undo something, just hit Control Z or Command Z on your computer. Or I could just like drag this all the way to the front, but as you can see, it's such a pain. So I'm undoing this by hitting Control Z. And what I am going to do is I am going to click on this clip. I'm going to right click on it. And then right up here, you see something called Ripple Delete. And when we click on that, now you will see that the clip is deleted and this clip is sent all the way to the front, which is great. And there's also a few other ways of doing this, which I will show you in a second. So I'm gonna put on my headphones. Okay. Let's just preview this clip. Let's hope that the audio is okay. Let's just listen to this. I am over it. I am done. I am done, and I wanna break this cycle. Now, here's the thing when it comes to YouTube. When it comes to YouTube, and again, this is not just going to be a YouTube tutorial, but since Valentina showed us how she worked on a really big project, and Javier, he showed how to work on this really quirky, short editing or edit, I thought it would be a good idea to show one of my YouTube videos. So I'm just gonna give a few tips here and there in case you're interested in making YouTube videos. Now, regardless of whether you're making a YouTube video or not, the beginning of this video was really bad because I am repeating myself 3 times. I'm saying, I'm over it, I'm done, I'm done. So what I want to do is I actually want to cut it right here before the 3rd I'm done. So that is right here. So I'm going to hit C again, and if you want, you could also hit Command K, and then we can right click on this and click on Ripple Delete again. Now you may have noticed this part right here that I haven't cut out yet. A great way to cut like the end of the video is you can either put your playhead right here, or you can just do this and you're good to go. So now if we listen to it, I am done, and I want to break this cycle of perfectionism, of self-doubt, of imposter syndrome, of... That already sounds a lot better. Now, as you can probably tell, I don't really like to work with headphones on, so I'm just going to keep them off for as long as I can. What we're going to do now is, as you can see, by the way, is you can see that the video actually doesn't fit the frame, right? You may have noticed that already. There's a very easy way to fix that. The first thing that we can do is we can click on this, go to Effect Controls, and then here we'll find some basic effects. Now we find motion, so that's position, scale, rotation. Did you see that? That is autosave. Definitely make sure that you've enabled autosave. Then we have opacity, and here you'll find audio effects. So if you add any effects using this tab right here, effects, then you'll find everything here as well. Now, what we can do is we can either change the scale to make it fit and just try to make it fit, or we could click on motion and we would get these handles. Oops, see? It's not that easy, but you could do it. But then, let's just click here so we could see it. If you look very closely, I don't know if you can see it, but if you look very closely, there is still like a little black line because it's quite hard to make this video fit your frame. So there's a way easier way to do this, and that's by right-clicking on it and then click on Set to Frame Size. Now when we do that, it now perfectly fits our sequence settings or our frame. So now that we can continue, when it comes to editing a video for YouTube, one thing that works really well is getting rid of all the pauses, all of the ums, all of the breaths that you're taking. It sounds a bit silly, but on YouTube, it really works if you take out all the breaths because the pacing will be better. So yeah, on YouTube, we're all basically just robots, or it seems like, but we do breathe. So this is also why I like to work with a waveform, because I can immediately see where I'm breathing. Like right here, for example, every time I see a little bump, there is a breath. So I'm just going to hit C and I am just going to cut them out. I don't know, this one I should cut out, I think this one and this one. Then I'm going to hit V to get my selection tool back again. I'm going to click on all of those clips and hit delete to delete them. Now you might be wondering, why are you not ripple deleting them? You can totally do that as well, but I actually want to show you another way, and that is by going to sequence and then close gaps. Oh, magic. Now everything is closed and it should sound pretty good right now. So let's listen to it one more time before we start adding our B-roll. All of these factors that play a role in my self-sabotage, I am done. So I decided to make a video, regardless of how long it's gonna take, regardless of how many iterations. Okay, MH Pro Creative Solution asks, how did you open the effects? Well, the effect controls, which is where you'll find all of the effects that you've added to your video, you'll find them right here. So right now, these are the basic effects. But then here, if we click on the arrows right here and we go to effects, this is where you'll find all the effects. So let's say that you would like to add a blur effect. You can type in blur and then you can go, let's add some Gaussian blur, why not? And then as you can see, it appears right here in the effect controls tab. And now you can change the blurriness. So you could choose, okay, I want this to be really blurry, for example. And if you don't see this tab right here, then just go to Windows and make sure that you have your effects ticked, as you can see. I hope that that answers your question. Let me see. Are there any other questions? Yes, I will talk a little bit about ripple delete. Okay, cool. We will do that. That's not a problem. I'm just going to delete the Gaussian blur. So another way of, we're actually going to be cutting out a little bit here, and then I'll show you another way of doing the ripple delete and the shortcut for that. So if we play through this, I'm done. So I decided to make a video, regardless of how long it's gonna take, regardless of how many iterations I need, how many revisions are needed, I am going to make this video. Now this is another thing. As you can see, my communication skills, they need some work, because I'm saying I decided to make a video, I'm going to make a video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to cut out that part right here. So I decided to make a video like that, and I'm going to make a cut right there again. And now let's ripple delete this, but let's ripple delete this with a shortcut. And the shortcut is Shift Delete. That is another way of using the ripple delete. I highly recommend you to use ripple delete, because otherwise, if we didn't do that, you know, you would have to hit delete and then you would have to select all of those and move those right there. So using the ripple delete and especially the shift delete will help you a lot. So now that we have this done, let's add some of our B-roll. So for this, we're going to make selections in the source monitor. So let's just start with this clip, for example. If we go through this is how you can preview your clip. Now, as you can see, I'm just throwing this on the floor a few times. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the last cut, because like I said, the last attempt is always the best one for me. So I'm going to start my selection right here. And in Premiere Pro, if you want to make a selection, you have to create an in point and an out point. And the in point is a start point and the out point is the end point of your selection. So in order to do that, we can press I on our keyboard, or you can click on this little bracket right here. Now let's move through that. Okay, that's fine. Then we are going to hit O on our keyboard. So now what we can do is we can do a few things. I'm going to bring my playhead over here. What we can do is we could say, okay, we want the video and the audio of this clip. So we can just drag it and put it right here if we want to do that. Now, what we could also do is we could use the comma, which is insert. And I can better show you that right here. For example, let's insert it by pressing comma. As you can see, now it's inserted in between those two clips. What we could also do is hit period to overwrite something. Now, as you can see, it's overwritten, so it has overwritten this first part of your clip. Now, I personally, I don't really use the overwrite option that much. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but I don't use that. So I would usually just use the period. And if you want to go to the first or the last frame of a clip, you can just press the up and down arrows like this. So that will make the insert option a lot easier, because if you are going to use the insert option right here, it will insert it right here. So if you want to insert it right here or in between these two clips, then make sure that you use the up and down arrows. So if you just want the audio or the video, there is two buttons down here. There is a drag video only and drag audio only. So that's pretty straightforward. You can just drag your video right here. Now, as you can see, again, it doesn't fit. So we can just say set to frame size. And if at any point, by the way, if you want to learn more shortcuts, you could go, and I highly recommend that, you could go right here to edit and then go to keyboard shortcuts. And this is your entire shortcut overview, basically. And if you forgot a shortcut, you could actually just type it in here and you'll find it. So let's just say we forgot how to cut our video or how to ripple delete it. So let's say delete. Then right here we'll find ripple delete, and we can find this shortcut for that. So that is also a great way to learn new shortcuts. So now we can do this for all of the other clips, but that is going to take way too much time. So I've actually created a another project with everything already ready to go. You're not missing anything. So let me just quickly switch to that project. All right, let me see if there's any questions. Oh, AKA Vex asks, jump cuts are accessible on YouTube. Totally. On YouTube, I wouldn't recommend it in when you're, I don't know, filming a documentary or whatever, but on YouTube, it is totally acceptable. It is actually I'm saying the same thing. It is a quite popular editing technique that a lot of people use all the time. I actually made a video about different kind of cuts that you can do in your YouTube videos to make your videos look more interesting. And one of them is jump cuts. So it's definitely acceptable on YouTube. Obviously, if you do have B-roll, for example, that you can put on top of your talking head bits so you don't see the jump cuts, that will look a lot smoother. But on YouTube, jump cuts, they're fine. You can go ahead and use jump cuts if you want to. Okay, let me just open these up really quickly and we're good to go. Okay, so let me move back. All right, you should be able to see. Yes, I will be covering the Instagram export settings. That's fine. We can do that. That is totally cool. Okay, but for now, let's continue. So as you can see, I have added my selection on here. Now, obviously, it looks a little bit silly because this is a montage, which on YouTube is called a B-roll. B-roll officially is when you're talking about something. Let's say you're interviewing someone about their cat. Can you tell I'm a crazy cat lady? Maybe. If you're interviewing someone about their cat and you have some supporting footage of that cat, and you put that on top of the interview as this person is talking about cats, that would be considered B-roll. But on YouTube, we also call montages B-roll. So in this case, this is actually a montage, but I'm just gonna call it B-roll. Now, right now, it looks a little bit silly because there is no music yet, so we will be adding that in a second. But there's actually some other things that I want to show you. Now, let's say I already showed you that right here in effects, you can choose and you can find any effect that you want, right? If you don't know the name of an effect, you can go to video effects, for example, and you can be like, oh, color correction, yes. I want to use the color balance. I'm just saying something. But there is one effect that you won't find in here, and that is the slow motion or speed up effect. And in order to do that, I'm going to use this clip, and when it comes to this, it is really important that you do have a clip that can be slowed down. And the way that I know that this clip can be slowed down is because this is filmed in 50 frames per second. So if I were to go to my, let's see, to my B-roll bin and then list view, you can see right here, this is C0010. And this is also the same one. You can see that this is shot in 50 frames per second. So this is where the list view comes in or where it is really useful. Now, when it comes to slow motion, if you're very new to slow motion and you have no idea what I'm talking about with frame rates and stuff, basically, how can I explain this the easiest way? Our real-time video, in this case, because I am also in Europe, so I shoot in 25 frames per second, but also because it is, for mathematical reasons, easier. Let's just say that we have a video that's 25 frames per second, and that is this video, our talking head video. So this is the real-time video. Our timeline is also 25 frames per second. Now, if we want to slow something down, we need more frames within that second. So if we have 25 frames per second and we would stretch that out to slow it down, it will actually look really choppy. So let me show you that really quickly. Let's just grab this one. Is this a good one? No, let me just look for another clip that we could, with a little bit of movement so you could see what I'm talking about. Okay, let's do this one. If we are going to slow this one down, we would have to hit Ctrl-R, or you can right-click on it and click on speed duration. But I'm just going to click on Ctrl-R, Command-R if you're on the Mac. And here we can change the speed. So let's just slow down the speed by, let's just say 50%. So now it's going to be slowed down by 50%, right? As you can see, it will look really laggy. It won't look good. And that is because in 1 second, we have 25 frames. So when you slow it down, there's actually gaps between those frames because we only have 25 and we cannot magically add more frames to make it smooth. So in order to have a smooth slow motion, you need higher frames per second. So this clip is 50 frames per second. So if I'm going to hit Ctrl-R on this one and I'm going to slow it down and I'm going to say 50% again, now, if we play it, see how smooth that looks? That is because we have double the number of frames in 1 second. So let me just bring this back to 100% really quickly. I hope that makes sense. If it didn't make sense, let me know in the chat. Okay, I don't see any questions. That's good. All right, so now we have slowed this clip down to 50%, right? But what if we want to create a speed ramp? Now, if you're on YouTube, you know that one thing is very, very popular on YouTube. It's not just slow motion, B-roll, coffee montages, but it's also speed ramps. So how can we create a speed ramp? Let's zoom in on the timeline and let's just go like this. I'm going to say that this is 100% again, so now it's at regular speed again. What we're going to do is first we're going to right-click right here on FX, and we're going to click on Time Remapping Speed. Now the line, as you can see, it has now appeared in the middle of this of the clip, and that is because now it's set to 100%. So in order to create our points, in order to create a speed ramp, we need to create points, and we do this with the pen tool. Now you'll find the pen tool right here, but again, as you can see, it says, oops, I cannot do that. It says P, so we can also press P on our keyboard, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to play through it and find a good point where we want it. So I think that right about here is probably pretty good because that is where we will see movement in the post-its. So I'm just going to create a point right here. I'm going to move forward. And then I think let's just go until here. Create another point and then hit V again to get your cursor back. And now we have created, basically these are just two markers, and now we have isolated this part from the rest of the clip. So if we move this up or down, as you can see, we only move that part up or down. So because we want to create a speed ramp where we go from regular speed to slow speed to regular speed, we're going to move it down. We're going to drag it down to 50%. And now we have a speed ramp. But this is not really smooth. So in order to make this smoother, you can actually grab one of those markers and you can just move it like so. And as soon as you move it, you can also just drag these handles like so. And we can do the same right here. Let's make it like this and drag it so. And now as you can see, it looks very nice. It looks very smooth, right? So if we play through it now, it looks a lot smoother. The transition from regular speed to slow speed to regular speed is a lot smoother. So that is how you would create a speed ramp. Now let me bring this back to default by double clicking on that track. And I'm just going to move this for now. All right. So now that we've done this, obviously when it comes to creating a montage, like I said, we need music. So what we're going to do first is we're going to open up right here, Windows, and we're going to open up the Essential Sound panel. Now, I don't want to get ahead of things. So first what I want you to do is to go and select all of these clips, because in the Essential Sound panel, as you can see, you can assign a tag to the selection to enable editing options based on the audio type. What does this mean? Well, if we select all of our dialogue clips and we assign dialogue to it, then you can edit your audio right here. So you could auto match the loudness to, as you can see again, if you hover over it, you get the explanation of everything. So actually Premiere is pretty easy when it comes to that, because you can just hover over everything and it will tell you exactly what you need. So maybe I should just stop the stream right here. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, you can do a lot of things. You can enhance the speech if you want to. You could add reverb, or you could be like, ugh, I need to reduce the noise, and I definitely need to reduce the reverb, because probably, as you can hear, my setup is pretty reverby as well, because I haven't sound treated the room. So you could choose to select this and then to add or lower the reverb, or add more de-reverb, or just a small amount. And if you want to reset anything, just double click on it and it will go back to where it was. So I'm going to uncheck that for now. Now, if you want music, Premiere Pro actually has a really great way of adding music, and that is in the Essential Sound panel. All we have to do is go to Browse, and here we will find almost 40,000 songs. That's crazy, right? And what I love about this is that we do not have to go to an external website, look for music, download music, bring it into Premiere Pro. We can actually just get any type of song from here. And to make it easier, because who has time to go through 40,000 songs? We can actually filter it. We can filter it by mood, by genre, and also by tempo and duration. Now, what I always personally do when it comes to selecting music is I always filter by mood. And the reason why I filter by mood is because I think that it's so important when you're trying to tell a story and you're trying to evoke some sort of an emotion in your audience, that your music reflects that and actually adds to that. So that is why I always filter by mood. So let's just go for, I don't know, happy and quirky. Why not? Let's just select that, and then I'm going to make this smaller again. So we could see some options. Now, as you can see, they also have audio partners. I personally work with Epidemic. I love them. They have great music. There's also Gemenjo. Now let's just say Epidemic, and let's just go through it. Now here's the kicker. This is the best thing about this, is that now if we want to add a song to our timeline, or we want to listen to a song, we do not need to drag it to the timeline and then play it and see what it sounds like. We can actually put our playhead wherever we want the music to start, and we can start playing a song. So let's find a funny one. Let's click on, I don't know, let's just click on Le Café de Paris. Regardless of how many iterations I need, how many revisions are needed, I am going to make this video. Now, obviously, this is a terrible match. This doesn't match at all, But this is such a great way of previewing music and auditioning music when you are trying to find a song. And I really, really recommend doing that. Now, when you want to use any of the songs, you can just drag and drop them to the timeline and you can edit it from the go. But maybe you're working for a client and they have supplied you with a song, right? Or you're editing a wedding film and the couple, they want this specific song in their video. Well, in that case, we would have to go to our project bin right here and go to music. And now, as you can see, I already, because we dragged all of those folders to Premiere, I already have my folder with music and I have my song right here. Otherwise, you can just double click on your window and then import it. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to double click on this. And now you will see that it popped up in the source monitor. And this is super useful because, again, you can read the waveform. And what I really recommend when it comes to montages, for example, is to use this last bit of the song, because that is where all the thickness is at. That is where like all the epicness happens, like right after the bridge, that last chorus, that is where it's at. So when it comes to montages, you probably want to use that. Now, however, I want the music to start a little bit earlier, so right about here. So I actually need part of the bridge, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go here and I'm just going to try it out. I'm going to hit I on my keyboard and I'm going to drag that to the timeline. Now let's make this bigger. Let's make this track bigger. As you can see, I have a marker here from a previous project. So let me just get rid of that really quickly. Go to markers, clear all markers. Okay. So a marker, by the way, is literally to mark a point in your project or in a clip or in a song. So I will explain to you why I created that marker there. So we could just move it around, and what I want to do is let's first actually just listen to the song. If you want to listen to one audio track and not all of the audio tracks, you can click on the S right here for solo, and now we will just hear the song. Now you get the point. Before we continue, I want to answer Diana Elizabeth's question. How do I get to the music panel? Let me just close this so we can start from the beginning. You go to Window and then you go to Essential Sound right here. And then that will open up this panel, and it could be that you start on this page right here. Wait, let me see. I think this is better. Maybe I was covering this, but yeah, you will be on the essential, or this is the essential sound panel. Then you would have to go to browse, and this is where you'll find all of the songs right here. So I hope that makes sense, Diana. Okay, I think that. Okay, cool. Let's continue. So, yeah, we have our song. We just listened to it. And I think that what I want to do is, here we have the drums, right? Right where the chorus starts, I'm going to create a marker because that is where I want to align that with this cut right here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Right here. Oh, whoops. I need to have the music track selected. Let's go. Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to move that. So what I did was I pressed M, right, to create a little marker, because now if I move this around, you will see right now, wait, let me just move my playhead to make it a little bit more obvious. If I move this around, you'll see this line right here at the cut, right? And if I if I let it go, then you can see that this marker is specifically aligned with this cut, which means that as soon as the chorus starts, that is where this clip will come in. Like that. So Now, if we play this, if I unselect this because I want to hear my dialogue, I'm not going to say anything. Let's just listen to it. Regardless of how many iterations I need, how many revisions are needed. That's terrible, right? Because now we cannot really hear what I'm saying. So what we need to do is we need to lower the volume. Now, one way of lowering the volume is to click on the music track, go to Effect Controls, and then, I don't know why this is so big. Go to Effect Controls, and then under Volume, we can change the volume. Or we could just drag this line down or up. But then, as you can see, for the entire music track, the volume will be lowered. So what we want is we want the music to be low here, but then as soon as the montage starts, we want the music to be louder. So in order to do that, let me first just hit Ctrl-Z, Command-C if you're on a Mac to undo something. So what we want to do is we want the music to start here. So for that, we can there's actually a really great feature in Premiere Pro, and that is by going to Edit. And now we need to assign a new tag, and because this is a music track, we will say to Premiere Pro that this is music. And the reason why we are assigning these tags is basically to tell Premiere Pro what every audio track is, because now what we're going to be doing is we are going to use this feature right here, which is called ducking. So if you check this, then all of these settings will be enabled. And if we look at this, it will say duck against dialogue, music clips, SFX, which are sound effects, ambience clips, and audio clips that don't have a tag yet. And this is so useful because now we told Premiere Pro already that these are dialogue clips, right? So we want to duck it against the dialogue. We want to make sure that when we're talking, that the music is lower, or when the music is ducked. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to generate keyframes, and we'll take it from there. So what you see right here, I feel so bad that I cannot zoom in right now, but what you see right here, maybe I can just make this bigger for now. Maybe this will work. Let me just make this bigger. So what you see, what just happened is there are 2 points created right here, and those points are keyframes. So we just generated that, but if we listen to this now, I'm going to make this video. The music comes in way too late, and I still think that the music is too loud over here. So that is when we can use the settings right here. So what we can do is we can say, okay, the duck amount, we need it to be ducked more. We want the music to be lower. Now, as you can see, again, it will tell you exactly which way to slide your circle thingy to. So if we want it to be ducked more, we can go this way. And when it comes to fades, that is basically this transition. We want that transition to be way faster. So I'm just going to move that up here to fast, right? So let's generate keyframes again. And now, as you can see, it has moved, and now it looks like it's almost aligned with this. So let's preview this. I'm going to make this video. That sounds good to me. So this is how you would use audio ducking, and it's super simple. You don't need to do a lot for it. You don't need to cut up your music clip and then lower the volume, and then add a transition, and then up the volume for the next clip. You can just use something as simple as audio ducking, which you will find as soon as you assign this as music. So you'll find that in the Essential Sound panel right here. So let me just clear audio type to show you again. Click on your music track and click on music, and then you can enable ducking, and you can generate your keyframes. Audio trick, let me see. I'm seeing that too. We'll troubleshoot with Lila. The camera is so delayed. Oh, that's weird. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what to do about it. I could hide myself, but I don't know if that is going to be a good option. So I think we're just gonna go. Thank God that I'm super small in the corner, but I'm sorry about that. That must be really annoying. Okay, so now that we have edited our music and we have put our music in, you would end up with something like this. So I'm going to make this smaller again, and I'm going to get rid of the essential sound panel by clicking on these three stripes right here and then close panel. And then I'm just going to zoom in, and this is what we ended up with. Now, as you can see, I did make a few cuts because right here, the music is just way too long, but I don't want to get into all of that because you don't really need to know that right now. So now it is time to do some color correction. So let me see if I'm not missing anything. No, we're good to go. For the color correction, what I prefer to do is I prefer to work in the color workspace. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. It is not as complicated as it looks. It looks very complicated, but it's not. So if we go to, all right, so this is the color workspace. Right here, we see a panel called Lumetri Color, where you have a basic correction tab, creative tab, curves. There are so many curves. We have color wheels and match, we have HSL secondary, and we have vignetting. Now, that's a lot. All we need to do for this video or for this workshop is open up the basic correction tab. Now, when it comes to color correction and color grading, although those terms are used interchangeably, they are actually two separate things. Color correction is necessary, it's almost mandatory. Color grading is totally optional, it's more creative. It is basically when you want to add certain colors to your video, and color correction is just correcting your footage. So if it looks too warm, you would correct it. If it looks too dark, you would correct it. That is the color correction. Now, as you could see, I opened up the Lumetri Scopes right here. I remember seeing this for the first time and thinking, oh my gosh, do I really need to use those? But it is actually, it's pretty easy, and I know that's easy for me to say now because I've been using Premiere for a while now and I'm used to it. But trust me, it's a little bit easy, but also allow yourself to rewind this. This stream will be available for replay. Just rewind it if you want to take all the time you need to get a hang of it. You don't need to understand everything in one go. So the reason why I'm showing you this is because when it comes to color correction, you cannot just trust your eyes. And the reason why you cannot trust your eyes is because when you are, I'm just going to take this off for a second. When you are color correcting and you're using a monitor, it could be that your monitor is not calibrated correctly. So that could mean that maybe if we say, okay, this looks perfect, it obviously doesn't, but let's just say this looks great, cool. Export the video, put it on YouTube or anywhere else, send it off to a client, and your client is like, what did you do there? And that is because the monitor didn't show the true colors of your video. So that is why I'm just, again, if you want to reset anything, double click on it. And that is why we need the Lumetri Scopes, because here we can kind of read if everything looks good. Now I want to say that you want to use the Lumetri Scopes at the same time as you're using your eyes, because let's say that you're in a park, and in a park it's a lot of green, the grass is green, the trees are green, everything, your Lumetri Scopes will show you that it's too green and that you would need to color correct that. But obviously that doesn't make sense. So make sure that when you're color correcting, you're looking at this and you're also looking at your video. Now, these are the two scopes that I still use to this day. In my opinion, it is sufficient. This is everything that I need. So we have one for color and one for exposure. Now, if yours looks anything different, maybe you have this one. Maybe you also have this one. What you can do, as I just did, was I just right-clicked on it and I will uncheck the histogram and I will uncheck the parade. Now, if your waveform looks any different, then go to waveform type and make sure that you have selected Luma. So this is the exposure and this is the color. So as you can see, all of the colors are in here, and this white blob will show you exactly what kind of colors are in your video. Now, the goal is to make sure that this white stuff is distributed evenly in this circle. Now in this case, it shows that it's too warm. So let's just change the temperature. As you can see in the basic correction tab, we have temperature and tint. So the temperature is like the coldness is the blues and the warmness is the yellow and the reds. Now the tint would be right here, green to magenta. So let's say that we need to make this a little bit cooler. Now, as you can see, if I go way, this would be distributed evenly, but I think that this is way too cold. So I'm actually going to make it a little bit warmer again. Now, that is why I want you to look at the Lumetri Scopes, but also still keep your eye on what it actually looks like. Now, when it comes to this one, this shows the exposure of your video. So down here we have all of the shadows and all of the darkness of your video, and up here we have the very bright parts of your video. So as you can see in my video, which is true, there is quite some darkness going on, so we would have to correct that. Now, as you can see down here, we have tone, which is exposure and contrast and highlights, shadows, whites and blacks. So this is the blacks and the shadows, and up here you'll find the highlights and the whites. Now you could go and play around with the settings, or if you are a total beginner, you could always try and start with auto. Now, as you can see, this doesn't look perfect because my face is way overexposed, but actually it did a pretty good job with the rest. So it really corrected the shadows in my video, but unfortunately my face is now overexposed. But this is a great starting point, so especially if you're starting out, you could use this as a suggestion and then just take it from there and just play around with the settings until you're satisfied. Now, one thing that I want to show you is, let's say that, let's choose, I'm just going to mute this track for a little bit, otherwise you will go nuts hearing that the entire time when I scrub through it. Let's take this clip and let's say that, okay, let's take this clip. Let's just quickly do an auto. Ooh, oh gosh, that is too much. Let's just do, this is a lot. Well, it doesn't really matter. It's just for demonstration purposes. But let's just say that this is the look that we want to go for. Now we have this clip, right? Oops, this clip right here. And we want to match this one with, oh my gosh, with this first one, with this one. What we're going to do is we're first going to copy this, which is our time code. Just hit Control-C or Command-C if you're on the Mac. And then let's go to Color, Wheels, and Match. Now, what we want to do here is we can actually apply a match. So we can make sure that the other clip that we want to match with this clip is that both of those are matched. So what we need to do first is we need to open up the comparison view. And that will bring us to this window. So here we have our before and our after, but actually this is our after and this is our before. So this is why we corrected, or this is why we copied our time code right here, because if I would press it right now, all right, there we go. I pressed Control-V to paste something, which is Command-V on a Mac. And if we are gonna go to that one clip, to this clip, right? So we want the colors and the brightness and everything to match with this, or we want this one to match with this one. So make sure that you have face detection turned on, because there is a face in here. Don't mind my cat. And then just hit Apply Match. Now, sometimes, like this time, it doesn't really get it right. It's just adding way too much red in here, but as you can see, the exposure, it has matched the exposure pretty well. If we can see that, now it all looks very cohesive. So I would recommend you to do this if you're using different cameras or whatever and you want a more cohesive look in your video, which is always a good idea. You can color match it using the comparison view, then you can color match it manually if you want to with the basic correction tab, or you can just use the apply match to get an indication or a starting point and just tweak it from there. Yes, we will look at the export settings after this. Do you have to color correct every clip? That is a great question. So Let me just show you a few things since this is asked. Let's just go back to this first clip, right? I'm going to close the comparison view. So we just did a basic correction on this clip, right? But now if we go to the next clip, we need to do this all again. But what if I told you that we don't? We don't need to do that. There's a few things that we could do. We could click on this clip, go to Effect Controls, and then right here, you can copy Lumetri Color, the Lumetri Color effect, hit Ctrl-C, and then Ctrl-V on your clip. Or what you can do, which is even better, is because this is all the same clip, right? This is just one clip that we've cut up into multiple segments. What we can do for this is we can actually click on it and we can click right here on Source and we can start editing our source. And as you can see, our source is opened. This is an incredible pause phase, by the way. And then if we just change anything here with our source selected, you will see that it will be applied to all of the clips that belong to that same clip, or all of the parts of that clip that belong to the same clip. And how you can double check that is with this red little line right here. Now, another way, which I will show you when I'm going to show you how to add a look or a LUT to your video, I'm going to show you the third way of doing this. For now, I am going to be resetting this. If you want to reset your entire Lumetri color adjustments, you can click here and then click on clear, because otherwise everything, it's going to get a little bit messy. So if you want to color grade your video, so if you want to add certain colors to your video, you could add a look to your video. And if you want to add a look, let's close the basic correction and open up Creative. Now right here it says look, and Premiere Pro has a lot of looks built in. And if you've maybe purchased LUTs from a creator or a website, then you could open up the drop-down menu and you can click on Browse, and then you can find your LUTs and you can import them right here. Now, if you don't know what a LUT is basically like if you're on Instagram and you upload a photo on Instagram, you can apply a photo filter, right? Now, LUTs are basically video filters. So if we can navigate through all of the built-in LUTs right here. And if there is something that you like, let's just take this. That's we can see it better. So you can just click on the arrows, and if there's something that you like, you can click on it and it will be applied. Now, obviously, this is way too strong, so you can play around with the intensity setting, with the vibrance, with the saturation. Now, we want this to be way lower, but there is a way easier way, and this will answer your question. Who asked the question? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, Freddie Tajida. So sorry if I butchered your name there. This is the other way of not having to color correct or color grade every clip, and that is by using an adjustment layer. So let me just quickly show you how to do that. We have a few more minutes left, but I hope that it's okay if we take a few more minutes, because I do want to show you this since this was a question. So I'm going to set this back and I'm just going to, again, reset all of this. So to create an adjustment layer, you click right here on New Item or right click on your project bin, New Item, and then Adjustment Layer. Then make sure that the width and the height are okay, but usually it already matches your sequence. Click OK, and then just drag this onto your clip. Now, what is an adjustment layer? An adjustment layer is basically an empty layer to which you can apply any type of effect. Not just your color grading. I'm sorry, did you? Oh yeah, you were able to see that, good. Not just color grading or color grades, but you could also add like a crop effect, a blur effect, basically any type of effect you could add to an adjustment layer. So like I said, it's a transparent layer. So right now you won't see anything. But if we now go through the looks and we say, okay, we want this one, we click on it with the adjustment layer enabled. If we now go through our clip, you can see that it has applied to every clip. And now if we want to change it again, if we want to get rid of it because, oh my gosh, we don't like this, you can just decide to delete the adjustment layer and everything is gone. So I would really recommend you to do this, especially when it comes to color grading. I would really recommend you to do this, but also when it comes to color correction. If you have a lot of clips that were shot in the same location with the same lighting, instead of having to go through all the clips and copy and paste them, just use an adjustment layer, apply everything to the adjustment layer, and you're good to go. So I hope that that answered your question. All right, so I think that I've shown everything that is really necessary for your first few videos in Premiere. So let's go back to the editing workspace. And let's add some text. Now, as you can see, let me just close this up. I don't know what this is. But as you can see, this is not just what we just worked on, right? This is the entire vlog that I have. We just worked on this little part right here, but this is the entire vlog. So this is what a timeline could look like in the end. So what I want to do is I want to add some text, and I want to add some text right here at the beginning. Let me just grab my headphones that fell on the floor, and let's have a listen. Have you ever wanted to do something, but then self-doubt got in the way? I don't understand why. So basically this is the intro, and what I want, I can show you right here what we want is we want this. Have you ever wanted to do something, but then self-doubt got in the way? So how do we create that? How do we add text? Now, obviously you don't need to create that, what I just showed you, but what we want to do is in any sort of way that you want to create text, we're going to hit T on our keyboard, or if you go to the toolbar right here, you can click on the type tool. Again, it will show you exactly what it's called and what the shortcut is. Then we're going to click on our screen, and because the first word that I said is have, I'm going to enable the let's not enable the caps lock, because I can actually show you how to do that in a very easy way. All right, so we have on our screen, right? So now what we can do is we can go to Effect Controls, and then right here, if we want, we could go and change our font and change the size and everything here. But what I actually want to show you is a way easier way to stylize your text. And also it has a really cool hack that will make your video so much better, and you don't even have to do anything for it. I wish that I discovered it sooner when I just started Premiere Pro. So let's open the Essential Graphics panel right here. And let's see, my face is still not covering everything. Great. We have the Essential Graphics panel right here. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to, again, let me just repeat that, go to Window and go to Essential Graphics. Then this window will pop up right here, this panel, and we're going to click on Edit. Now here we'll see our text. And here you'll see a bunch more. As you can see, a lot of it is the same, but you also get a few more tools here. And I just really like using the Essential Graphics panel. So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller because we don't need to look at that. So what I'm going to do, first, let's get our selection tool back by pressing V. Oops, don't do that. Let's just hit V right here, or click on the selection tool. And what we're going to do is we are going to change the font. I'm just going to go for a font that I like, so this one, but again, you can choose any font. I want it to be slightly bigger, I want it to be center aligned, I want it to be aligned in the text. As you can see, this will make sure that it's in the middle of your video, and then if you want, you could also change the color, you could add a little outline if you want to, so let's go crazy and add, so you can see, this is what you can do, but we're not doing that. So let's uncheck that. Now what you can do, instead of using caps lock, you can just press all caps, and now it's all in caps. So that is really, really great. So this is how you would add a title. Now, if you're interested in creating that effect that I did, where the text kind of pops up as I'm talking, we would have to go right here to the next word. As you can see, again, I can read the waveform because this first word, second word, third word, have you ever, or ever, I think this is ever. So you can just cut it right here, or let's just make it smaller. And we can now duplicate this clip by holding Alt or Option on your keyboard, and then just drag it like so. So now we have another one. So now just double click right here in the Essential Graphics panel, and let's type you. Now, if we repeat this a few times, we will end up with this.
Have you ever wanted to do something, but
and that is pretty cool. So whether you just want like a static text or you want to be like a little bit more creative like this, then this is how you would do that. Let's see, is there another question? Okay, everything is being taken care of, that's good. Now, here's the little hack that I talked about. Let's go right here. What if I told you you can make your videos look 10 times better by going here to browse? Now, this is, again, Adobe Stock, where we also found our music. Adobe Stock is really great, not just for music, but also for videos, for photos, for animation, for templates. They have a lot of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on Adobe Stock and look at this. There are so many different templates here that you can use. Some of them you have to pay for. If there's a little dollar sign right here, you would have to pay for it. I need to enable the selection tool again. But what you can also do is just click on this, say free, and now you'll get all of the templates that you can use for free. And this will make your video look so much more professional, and you don't even need to know anything. You just need to, when you like something, you just drag and drop it through the timeline and you're good to go. Of course, you need to, change the text and stuff, but I will show you how to do that. Because for this video, what I want to do is I actually want a lower third. So let's say that in this video, I want to promote my Twitter. There is actually a really nice Twitter animation, which is this one. And if you go over it with your cursor like so, you can see the preview of the animation, which is really great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this and I'm going to drag this to my timeline. And now it's loading. Let's just zoom in. And now we have our animation in our video. How easy is that, right? So now I don't like the purple. I want this to be blue, like Twitter. So what I can do is I can click right here on wings. I can click right here on color. And then I can go to, let's say this is the blue that I want. I am going to copy the color code. So I'm going to hit Ctrl-C or Command-C, hit OK, then click on the body, and then click on this square right here again. And then let's just hit Ctrl-V or Command-V. And now our bird is blue. It's really that easy and it will look so much more professional. So the last thing that I need to do is double click on this at Lila from YouTube. And I'm just going to select all of this so I can change the font to, let's do Adobe. Now, I mean, this looks pretty good. So now the only thing that we need to do is actually click on this and then just make it a little bit smaller, and let's just move it to the side. Now you can do this with so many things. Like I said, there are so many templates. If you want a title, you can just type in title and you'll get a bunch of free titles. You can also, if you want to pay for something or if you want to use it commercially, then you can choose any of those titles. You can just go over this like so. If it wants to, no, oh, there we go. How cool is that, right? That you can just import that or insert that into your project. You don't need to do anything for it, and it will look really good. It will look like you are some After Effects magician, but it's just a template. It's awesome. Okay, before we go to export settings, one thing that I want to show you is, what if you look at that face, look at this face, what? Okay, I'm just going to close the Essential Graphics panel by pressing or by clicking on these three lines right here and then close panel. Okay, so if we want this video, if we make a video and we're proud of this video and we don't just want to show this on YouTube, but we actually also want to show this on Instagram, for example, we would have to change the aspect ratio, because on Instagram you can upload a square, you can upload a aspect ratio of 4:5, or if you want to put it on TikTok, you would need an aspect ratio of 9:16. So what we used to have to do was create a new sequence with those settings, copy all of this, and then we would have to change the position and the scale of every clip. Now that was a pain. Let's just call it a pain. That wasn't fun. But Adobe has this artificial intelligence machine learning thing. It's called Adobe Sensei, and it's super smart and super useful, and they recently, or not recently anymore, I think it's almost 2 years ago now, they introduced a feature called Auto Reframe. Now, what that does is it will automatically reframe your video, so this video, and it will turn it into any type of video we want. So let's say that we want this to be an Instagram video, right? We can go to sequences, and this is the sequence. We can right click on it and then click right here on Auto Reframe Sequence. Now this window will pop up and we will see sequence name. We will see the aspect ratio, so you can change the name if you want to, but I'm just going to keep it like this is. The target aspect ratio is what you want your new video to look like, or what you want the aspect ratio to be. So let's say 1:1 or 4:5 for Instagram. Vertical 9:16 is for TikTok and Instagram stories, for example. So let's just say 1:1. Then we have this option, which is a motion tracking option, and we can choose slower motion or faster motion. So if you're editing a video, a sports commercial or something where there's a lot of movement and a lot of fast movement, then I would recommend you to click on faster motion. And obviously if there's slow motion or slower motion, like slow movements or barely any movements, you can click on slower motion. So let's just do that for this video and then hit create. And now we would have to give Premiere Pro a little bit of time or Adobe Sensei, we need to give it a little bit of time to auto reframe all of our clips. Let's see if there, yes, you can copy and paste everything in Adobe, yes. Okay, yes, the export settings are coming up. So let's just look at this and let's just see what this looks like. As you can see, now it has reframed it. Now, if there's something that you don't like, as you can see, it's still analyzing. So it may not be this far just yet, but let's look at this clip, for example. This is not what we want, because if we go back to the original, we can see right here that what we did was we actually made it a lot smaller and we had this black background. So we want to do the same thing in our Instagram video. So for that, you would have to click on it, and then right here in Effect Controls, you see the Auto Reframe, and then you would see right here Reframe Scale, and you can just rescale it. Adobe Sensei, it's really great. Sometimes though, it needs a little bit more help, especially if you're more artistic, like what I did. Like I made this a lot smaller, so I need to tell Adobe Sensei that I need this to be smaller as well. So this is how you can automatically reframe any of your videos for Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, like literally anything. And it's so fast, and I highly recommend you to use this feature or this effect if you want to use or if you want to make social media videos. Now, last but not least, we are done with our video, right? This is our video. We're happy with it. We're good to go. What do? We can export it using the quick export button right up here. And if we click on that, we can right here choose our file name and location by clicking on this, and then we can just, let's go here, export. We could pick a name, not cats, and we can save it. And then here we have our presets, which are all optimized for web. So this could be the way to go. But what I want to show you is I want to show you how to export your video and where you can actually change some of the settings, because these are all just presets. So, and maybe your preset is not in here, right? So what you would do then is first you always want to click on the sequence window, and then you go to File and you go to Export Media, or you hit Ctrl-M on your keyboard. That will bring up this window right here. And what we can do now is we can say, okay, match the sequence settings. If you're just starting out in Premiere Pro, I recommend you to do that, because that will really make things easier. But what you can also do, let's uncheck that again. It's taking a second. What you can also do is you can actually choose a preset that matches the source. So, and the source is your sequence. So what you can do, for example, if you want to upload your video to TikTok or to Instagram, I would recommend to choose the match source adaptive high bitrate. That will be good to go. And if you're uploading to, let's say, YouTube in 1080p, you can just choose this preset. Now, I don't want to talk too much unless you want to. I don't want to talk too much about all of the different settings that you can pick from and like what to click and what not to click. Usually you can just pick a preset and you're good to go, and you can export your video. So let me see if there is, please help with export settings for Instagram Reels 9:16. What I do for Instagram Reels is I use this option right here, match source high adaptive high bitrate. That makes sure that you get the best quality, but your video file isn't massive. So I would choose this one. I always choose this one. And if you choose match source, if your Instagram reel, it's 9:16, right? If you choose match source, it will actually match the 9:16. So you don't have to go and change that, if I'm not mistaken. I think that is how it works. That is what I've been doing, and it worked fine for me. So I hope that answered your question. Can you show us how to find auto reframe again? Yes, of course. Let's go back for a second. So I think I need to switch my screen for that. So right here we have our sequence, right? And we want to auto reframe the entire sequence, our entire project. If you just want to apply the effect to one clip, you can do that. You can find that in effects, I think, and then auto reframe. And then under transform, you'll find the auto reframe option. But if you want to change your entire video project and auto reframe that, then just right click on this and then click on auto reframe sequence. And that will bring up this window, and then you can go through those steps. And again, if you missed it, you can just go back, because this live stream will be available for replay, so you can just watch it later. Now, let me just quickly go back to the export window. One more thing that I want to tell you is that if you hit export, you will be immediately exporting your video. Let's just do that so you can see what I mean. It starts exporting your video. Now, if you want to break, if you don't want to use Premiere Pro for a while, this is good. You can just let it export your video. However, if you have other projects that you need to work on or you want to work on, you want to click on Q. If you click on Q, it will open up the Adobe Media Encoder, which is another program from Adobe, where you can export all of your projects. So let's see how long this takes, if I can still show you that. Let's see, is it working? Let me just take a few questions, if there are any questions. No, okay, well, I don't know why the Media Encoder, oh, here it is. It's a little bit slow today, but it is opening up. So let's just take one more second so I can just show you what that looks like. All right, so now it's our project and our export settings that we just, let me just make that a little bit more clearer. So we have our export window, come on. we have our export window right here. So here you will set all of the settings, and then when you hit on Q, you will send the export settings and everything to your media encoder. So you will send it to here. Now, right here it's ready. So if I press the little play sign, start queue, you can also hit enter, as you can see. It will start rendering your video. So it will start exporting your video. Now, while it is exporting, you can just go ahead, open a new project, and start editing something new. You can still use Premiere Pro because it's being exported externally, so outside of Premiere Pro. Okay, I think I'm just gonna stop this. Yep, I want to stop this. Oh wait, I did. Okay, here we go. All right, I think that was everything. We are a little bit over time, but I hope that this workshop, this webinar, was super useful for you. I had a lot of fun. I really hope that I've given you all the tools that you need to start editing your first few videos inside Premiere Pro. I hope things are a little bit more clear now. If you have any more questions, you can hit me up on Twitter or Instagram at Lila from YouTube. Or you can, of course, hit up Adobe Care on Twitter. They will be there after this live stream to be helping you out with your questions. Yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this live stream. If you did, definitely make sure that you give it a big thumbs up so we can all know and see that this live stream was a good one. So I hope to see you in the next one. I'll be hosting another live stream next week, I think June 16th. So if you want to be there, feel free to join, and I'll hope to see you in the next one. Bye!